breaking news and trending talk with Mike and McCarty. Mornings on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
Bye.
Eleven minutes past the hour. 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL.
Ruben, throw something at him.
That's my, broadcast broadcast voice. Shreveport Mayor Tom Arsenault joining us in studio. It's our Ask the Mayor Wednesday. We do this every month now. Mm-hmm. Very gracious of the mayor to agree to come in. Answer your questions. By the way, shoot us your question on the Shreveport Security Systems message board. It's a free download on the KEEL app. That's how you get in touch with us.
Mm-hmm. Let's start with the police headquarters. You sent out a list of possible sites. You also have notified the council. I was watching the meetings this week that you brought in a team to do some more testing at the current headquarters building to see if there is mold, mildew, or anything. Because the old report was, 2 years old?
The report, was from January of 22.
So you brought in a team. What did they find?
They found some moisture. They found some areas that needed to be treated. They did not believe that they were sufficient to require removal of any employees there, so they didn't find a health risk. But certainly we want to make sure that we are alleviating the circumstances that could lead to a health risk. So we have brought in the remediation equipment to do it, and if the results don't improve, then we'll go in the vent in the duct system and clean that out, because we'll have to have people there for a period of time.
So nobody's going to have to move because of this work.
That's correct.
Immediately.
That's correct.
Do we know what this is going to cost us? Any idea?
I don't know what it's going to cost us, but it's something that we have to do.
Okay.
Temporary locations for the Shreveport Police. You released a list of possible locations. Last my count was about 18 possible locations. Has that been expanded or narrowed down yet? How are we on that?
The answer is yes and no. Yeah. It was expanded because some people brought us some very good ideas. We're in the process of narrowing it down. If you're trying to do something quickly, at some point you have to stop increasing what you're looking at and begin to make decisions and plans to move forward, and that's kind of where I would say we are right now.
Some of them were very intriguing. A lot of Willis-Knighton properties.
Yes.
A lot of school properties, office parks. Is there any that you have a tendency to lean toward?
I am pretty much leaving that to the recommendations of my chief administrative officer and the police chief, because they're the ones who are out there doing the day-to-day work on it. And there are some very promising places for patrol, moving patrol out. That's who will move out first. That is, each of those is a relatively small, definable group of people that make it easier to say, okay, we're going to put Area 1 in this place, Area 2 in this place, Area 3 in this place, Area 4 in this place. And so we'll be decentralizing that. And then you have administrative, investigation, ABO, everything else that we would like to keep together because it's all administrative function. But, given the circumstances we have, we may not be able to keep them all together.
When Chief Smith was in here a few weeks ago, he was talking about, some of the consideration to take into is the fact that, there's... When you're dealing with a police department, a lot of times you're dealing with people that you don't want in just an office building, say downtown, on a regular basis.
Well, particularly with investigations, the
undercover
people who have
officers.
To report. Undercovers will be in the process of moving. We have a site for them, and
where's that?
That's.
I thought I'd catch him.
Mike, I really like you, and I would hate to have to shoot you.
Yeah.
I'll shoot back. But that is one of the considerations, obviously.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot. as with any decision, it usually turns out to be more complicated than it appears.
Nothing can just be easy.
It's not, and so we're working our way through those things, and hopefully I feel confident we'll have some recommendations by the 22nd of October, the next council meeting. I hope we'll have more recommendations, but we're in the process of narrowing that down. There's some good sites. Some of them are better for temporary sites than permanent sites, but we're looking at everything.
Concerned about retrofitting those. A police station got specific needs, interview rooms and cameras and all that kind of stuff.
Security.
Right. What kind of cost are we looking at if we move into 1, 2, or 3 different locations just temporarily? Is it money we're flushing down the commode?
Well, we're not. The new police headquarters will be on the site of the old police headquarters. So at some point, we were going to have to move all of those people, which means we were going to be in temporary circumstances and would have to do that retrofitting as a part of moving to a new facility. And so that really is we're going to incur that cost a little earlier than we thought, but it's really not a cost that we weren't going to have to incur.
Okay. There's been some talk that this has been a slow process, and so the council has been pumping the brakes on some other things because they feel like it's been slow. They've pumped the brakes on the sale of the bonds, this most recent bond, because they feel like they haven't seen action on this front. That possibly we could have already had a substation built, and we could have moved a bunch of our people into that substation. How do you respond to that? I mean, have you been working as fast as you can on this, realistically?
Well, we have. We located the Monkhouse site. We identified it. There are 2 things that are moving to Monkhouse. Traffic is moving, and that actually might happen by the end of the year. We're hopeful of that. That building is being retrofitted as we speak, and hopefully we'll be finished by the end of this month, and we can start making moves there. We announced that we would use that site also for the substation at Monkhouse. That one is in the process of being under contract to redo. So we did that. The funds became available actually on December 29th of 22, about 2 days before I took office. And none of those buildings had been set up to do that. All the bonds had been sold. And we moved very quickly after that, trying to design these things. They weren't designed. They had to be designed. And it just takes a little bit of time. But in terms of police headquarters, we began working on the new police headquarters in April of 2023. So we have not been delaying anything on the new headquarters. Most of this controversy arose, the big noise about it arose 2 weeks ago. And we have responded very quickly and I think very effectively to those concerns.
As to that big controversy, why 2 weeks ago? This is something, as you just said, it's been in the works. You've already have been addressing the issue. Why was this big stink even brought up?
Well, I think the council members began to have an increased volume of complaints from people who are in the building. I think look, those complaints are valid. I'm not debating whether or not that's a good place to work. It is not a good place to work. And we had been working, I say, since April of 2023 to do this. The architect selection committee met to hear the architect presentations on September 7th of 2023. They made a recommendation. It took a little while to configure the contract. The contract was entered into in January of this year, and it has been moving apace. So we have been moving as quickly as we can on the new police headquarters.
There's some controversy over the North Shreveport substation.
Yep.
We want to talk with the mayor about that when we get back.
Stay with us. Take a quick break. Mike and McCarty in with Mayor Tom Arsenault, 1017 FM, 710KEEL.com.
Best stories of the day with Mike and McCarty on 1017 FM and 710 KEEL.
Shreveport Mayor Tom Arsenault in with Mike and McCarty in studio. Our monthly Ask the Mayor segment, spending the whole hour with us. You can shoot us your questions on the Shreveport Security Systems message board, like some already have, and we'll get to those here in just a minute.
North Shreveport Police Substation, there's a little bit of a kerfuffle brewing. In the deed, there's language that says if you don't use it for a police purpose for 25 years, the North Shreveport Business Association can take the property back. Council members are now bowing up saying, we never knew that was in the deed. Essentially saying, why didn't you tell us that was in the deed, Mayor? You signed it. You should have known. You're a lawyer. Did you know that was in the deed? Is it a sticking point?
Well, it certainly is a sticking point with the council. We're looking at the circumstances. I signed it. I'm sure I read it when I signed it, and it says what it says.
Mm-hmm.
So we're looking at the circumstances. I don't specifically recall the circumstances of it. I do think it should have been brought to the council's attention, and it was a mistake not to do that.
Would you advise building on a property, spending $1.5 million on a substation there, if the risk is the group that donated the property could take it back? Well,
it's not unusual when property is donated for a purpose to have those kinds of conditions on it. AC Steer did that with the AC Steer Park and the school that was built on that site. So it's not really an unusual circumstance, but it's certainly something that should have been brought to the council's attention, and the council should have approved it before I signed it.
Are you working with the North Shreveport Business Association to get that caveat removed from the contract?
The first time that the council raised this issue was yesterday during a council meeting. So
is that in your plans, maybe, to approach them?
Certainly is.
And are you hopeful they will remove it from the deed, and then you can move forward?
I haven't had any discussions with them. I would hope that they would consider that and do it. I know that the North Shreveport Business Association very much wants the substation to be built on that site. So I would hope that those would be positive communications.
Has there been any studies on the actual ground of that location? Could that be a hazardous site with the previous business?
We did a phase one environment. We did our due diligence on that, so I'm not really worried about that.
Okay.
Is there a possibility the council could give that land back and say, hey, this is in the deed. We don't want it under these conditions?
That's something that's under study by the city attorney. Again, all this was raised in a public meeting yesterday for the first time, and I have not gotten all the sets of circumstances and facts that I need to make a determination.
You want to ask the mayor a question? Download the KEEL app. Ask it on the Shreveport Security Systems message board. Fair game.
Sandy has done one.
Okay.
She sent in. She says, why do some intersections now have two sets of traffic lights on heavy metal poles? I think I would know the answer to that, but we'll let the mayor address.
Those are replacement poles, and I believe that all of those are DOTD. They're replacing the lights. I don't know if you've seen some of the lights have been replaced where they have a flashing yellow left turn signal,
which, by the way,
take a little bit of getting used to.
Thank you. I almost got smashed one time in Texas because it had the flashing yellow, and I'm thinking they still had a red, and mine's about to turn like a yellow light.
Yeah.
And I turned left in front of an 18-wheeler, and he's just barreling down toward me, and I'm just like, okay, that's not what that meant.
Right.
Yeah, those are not ours, and what I understand is the others will be taken down and those will be implemented.
That means, for those like me that didn't know, a flashing yellow means it's okay to turn when it's clear.
Yeah, exactly. When we come back with the mayor, I want to ask about demo of Fairgrounds Field. The bids are in. Have we signed the contract? When's the wrecking ball arrive?
Mike and McCarty with Shreveport Mayor Tom Arsenault, 1017 FM, 710keel.com.
Mike and McCarty on 1017 FM and 710 KEEL.
Shreveport Mayor Tom Arsenault in studio. Mike and McCarty, our monthly chat with the mayor. Mayor, as you drive by on I-20, you can see trucks now already on the State Fairground site for the State Fair of Louisiana, getting ready to kick off later this month. We talked about demolition of Fairgrounds Field, hopefully by Independence Bowl. So are we going to have to work around the State Fair now?
Well, we certainly need to work around the State Fair. We're not going to do anything in the demolition of Fairgrounds Field that is going to interfere materially with the setup or the tear down, the operation of the State Fair. We'll have to sandwich this in between. There are about 40 days between the State Fair and the Independence Bowl, and we hope to have it down, but the most important thing is to get it down.
When's it going to start? You have a contract signed?
Don't have a contract signed.
Okay.
Bid has been awarded. That contract's in the process of being circulated. We'll have to sign the contract, and then the key thing is the notice to proceed, and we will coordinate with the contractor and the State Fair to make sure that we're not interfering with the State Fair.
So no more issues with bats and bat guano and barn owls and sparrows and endangered lizards.
We believe that our process will be a healthy process that accounts for all of the issues that have been raised.
Okay.
The latest audit of the city has some things that are a little bit alarming. Can we talk about that when we get back?
Sure.
Okay.
Take a quick break. Back with the mayor, Mike and McCarty, 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL, and on the free KEEL app.
What's the easiest choice you can make? Window instead of middle seat? Picking a vendor who sends a great gift basket? Outsourcing business tasks you hate? What about selling with Shopify? Whether you're selling a little or a lot, Shopify helps you do your thing, however you cha-ching. Shopify is the global commerce platform that helps you sell at every stage of your business. From the launch your online shop stage to the first real-life store stage, all the way to the did we just hit 1 million orders stage. Shopify's there to help you grow. Whether you're selling scented soap or offering outdoor outfits, Shopify helps you sell. Wherever and whatever you're selling, Shopify's got you covered. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/try. Go to shopify.com/try now to grow your business, no matter what stage you're in. Shopify.com/try.
Get back to the show with Mike and McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
Shreveport Mayor Tom Arsenault in studio. Hold on, let me light this fire under your chair. That seat's about to get hot.
The latest audit has some substantial problems that are mentioned.
I disagree that they're substantial. They're not material. They're not material. They are important.
This calls it 9 material weaknesses.
Again, we believe that in the scheme of the city's budget and its audit, it's a small amount, but we're going to correct them.
One is improper budget transfers. Can you explain what they're pointing out there and how you fixed it?
Yeah. Well, we're in the process of fixing it. Most of that has to do with entries in the fire and police department, and there's some other criticisms, weaknesses that were pointed out in terms of timeliness of some of the journal entries, and we are working on those. Part of that resulted in our audit being late, which I was very unhappy about. And so we're going to address all those issues.
You mentioned the police department. There was one issue where one police department employee was paid full salary and remained on active status after going on disability in the middle of 2023. And
there's
for
like I say,
9 months.
We acknowledge the weaknesses. One of the great things about a good audit firm like Carl Riggs and Ingram is that they look at us very carefully and very impartially. And they tell us, they grade our papers, and they tell us where we're doing well. Mostly they tell us where we're not doing well, and we're going to correct these.
Was that just an oversight? I mean, you say they went deep. That's, going down to one employee.
Frankly, That audit was just released. I have not personally seen it, so I don't know the answer to the question.
The one that glares for me is $8 million in accounts receivable that is owed to the city that's uncollected. Is that primarily water bills?
The one I'd be most concerned about would be water bills. I'm not sure whether those accounts receivable include things like the liens on property standards and that kind of thing. Most of those are paper receivables. We're not ever going to collect most of that money, but because we're behind mortgages and we have pieces of property we would have to foreclose on, it's not worth very much. So we basically understand in property standards that we're going to be essentially eating that cost. But it's something that we make a determination about collectability. The overdue water bills are a very big concern to me, and I am on top of the water and sewer department to collect those amounts and also to do a more effective job on the front end so that we do not have those amounts in the future.
Are we hiring private companies to do collections on the ones we can recoup?
We will. We are using. For a while during COVID, we had stopped most collection efforts, and that was obviously nothing I had anything to do with. It resulted in some pretty substantial balances that we're trying to collect, and I am working with Mr. Daniel to collect the amounts that we can collect, to examine circumstances that would give us some revenue from those, and then to make sure that this kind of circumstance does not happen in the future.
When you get an audit like this that does have some things that it points out, do you answer? I mean, your financial folks are going to be answering and making the corrections?
Yes.
And are y'all in the process of doing that now?
That has already started, particularly some of the reporting issues and shortcomings in police and fire. We're addressing part of the information that was submitted to the auditors late had to do with communication between finance, police, and fire, and we are correcting that immediately.
I'm going to ask you something that I sent in my list. I sent you a list of things that I was interested in talking about, and you replied, we only have an hour. And I said, well, we'll try to do rapid fire with some of them. I'm a little concerned about the hiring of bond attorneys, and I tell you why. I think, and tell me if I'm wrong, a couple of the attorneys we're hiring come from your former law firm. Is that accurate?
That's accurate.
Is that an ethical violation?
None.
You have checked into it?
Yeah. I'm not receiving any money from it, and I happen to know that they're excellent lawyers who do this kind of work.
Were you a part owner of that law firm before you left it?
I was at one time a part owner of that law firm, but I have not been an owner for over 2 years.
Okay, and so you don't see any kind of a little bit of a gray area that maybe I shouldn't give business to my former buddies?
I think to disqualify qualified people because they have some association with me would be unfair and not good for the city.
Okay. Is it treated differently if you had owned a gas station and you come back and you buy gas from that gas station after you're mayor? Are lawyers handled differently in the ethics code? I don't know. I'm asking.
It wouldn't be any different if it were a gas station. If I no longer own an interest in the gas station, there is no ethical concern. I get no personal benefit from it.
Okay. But the fact that maybe you have friends that do?
Most of us do business with friends, and it's not unusual to have people. I generally would probably not hire someone who was a complete stranger in whom I didn't have any confidence. I have confidence in these people, and I think they'll do a good job.
Okay. Let's talk about the sale of bonds. Council has pumped the brakes. Do we have to take another break?
You want to do
Let's do a quick break.
Yeah, we need to do a quick break.
Okay, then we'll come back.
Talk about that because I do want to talk about the the city council and their vote yesterday.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Mike and McCarty, 101.7 FM, 710KEEL.com.
Breaking news and trending talk with Mike and McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
In studio, Shreveport Mayor Tom Arsenault, Mike and McCarty. It's our monthly chat with the mayor, answering your questions. Submit those on the Shreveport Security Systems message board. Several have. Mayor, I would say not really a good day in the city council meeting yesterday. City council
pluses and minuses.
Pluses and minuses. There you go. City council voted 7-0 not to approve any bond funding, not to sell any bonds until you get the other ones finished, completed.
I don't think finished. I think they want the folks moved out of the police station. I think that's their sticking point. Am I right?
I have to take them at their word. That's what they said. I think by the time we have the next council meeting, we will have substantial progress in doing that and know where we're going. So I am optimistic that they will.
See, I don't understand this being so obtuse when things are in motion. You're working on it. You're aware of it. You're moving forward on this. Why? Why is the council acting this way?
Well, I think the obvious answer is that's something you have to ask them.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know the answer.
I
we are working with the council. We are improving our relationship with council members and providing them with as much information as we can to try and break the logjam.
This sounds like I'm taking my bond. I'm going home.
Well, in the grand scheme of things, in the power struggle, they're showing, hey, you don't do what we want. Here's what we're going to do to you. That's kind of what I'm seeing. I'm watching. But now this is the second meeting. They have postponed it. In the big picture, what does postponing it do in terms of could this cost our city money in terms of interest rates? It's going to obviously now delay it until after the election.
Well, we also know that equipment costs and supply costs, all of that go up the longer you wait.
Yeah, in our view, there's no reason we can't be pursuing both of these goals at the same time. And our goal is to get the bonds issued. We told the public when we went out to them for the election, an election supported by 5 of the council members, we told them that we wanted to begin construction, if possible, by the end of 2024, but certainly by early in 2025. And so our putting this in front of the council is our commitment to the citizens of Shreveport who approved these bonds by 80%, by 80-20 margin. So we believe that we are carrying out the will of the people, and we're going to continue to do that.
Not selling the bonds delays things. Any idea, a time frame delay in your view? Because you can't start design work if you don't have the money, right?
Right. We don't have the money until we sell the bonds.
Right. And so nothing can be. You can't hire an architect. You can't draw plans.
Correct.
You can't. So this every 2 weeks is another pushing it down the line.
That's correct.
And every project is now delayed again.
That's correct.
Do they understand that?
I think they do. I think in the scheme of things, the delays from last council meeting and this council meeting, assuming that we get our issues worked out by the 22nd of October, I think that in the scheme of things that all of that comes out in the wash.
What are some of the first projects that you would like to get started?
A number of them. There's some in University Park, which is in District A. There's some water and sewer projects that we really want to get in line. The water and sewer are the easiest ones to actually get shovels in the ground because they are already designed.
Okay, so you are trying to work it out with the council. What do you do? Is it individual meetings with each one? Do you have 2 at a time? What is your plan? You've got to win them over. I mean, you got to go in there and say, "Hey, I'm trying to work with you."
Every council, I have a relationship with every council meeting member, and it's my responsibility to work on that relationship and to find out what their objections are and answer those objections.
Okay, we get a lot of questions on our message board, and I get texts about the cleaning up of our city and getting the street lights on. I know we talk about this every time. You have a concerted effort going on to pick up trash. Is it city workers? Is it a contract? Is it a combination?
Mostly it's city workers. We have invested more money in this than previously. Unfortunately, we don't have an endless pot of money, and therefore we have places in the city that are still litter strewn, and we're doing our best to meet those issues as expeditiously as we can.
I know Kathy she asked, are property standards and city ordinances still enforced? She says, I've taken photos and sent pictures of yard parking, unsightly yards, and I know on my street there's a house that's just literally crumbling. Nobody mows or anything. Knee-deep grass, but nothing gets done. It brings down my property values.
Well, I would say in most cases something is being done. The process, we have this clause in the U.S. Constitution called a due process clause, and so we normally have to give notice. Sometimes it's difficult to determine where the notice is to go, and it just takes some time. But we are addressing those. Every month I sign demolition orders. We spent $800,000+ on demolition. We spent over $800,000 so far this year on cleanup of things when owners don't clean them up. Remember, what we're trying to do is to get the owners to fulfill their responsibilities.
Mm-hmm. Got a new economic development director coming?
I do.
Our last 30 seconds, when will he be on board? What are his marching orders?
His marching orders are he'll be on board November 1st.
Okay.
And we'll start meeting with people who are involved in economic development, meeting with council members to find out what their needs are in the council.
Mayor, thank you so much for coming in. We appreciate it. Look forward to next month.
You bet.
Mayor Tom Arsenault, 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL. .117 FM, 710 KEEL. Mike and McCarty on the Jack Spring Electric Newsmaker Hotline. Meteorologist with the Weather Channel, Ken Boone, joining us. Ken, good morning. Have you been up all night?
Not all night, but a good part of it.
Good. Well, Milton has made its way across Florida. It looks like it's back out into the Atlantic now. Where was the worst hit areas in Florida?
Yeah, well, the worst storm surge was right where it made landfall near the Siesta Key area, and then areas a little bit down to the south of that where we had that steady onshore flow. The heavy rain fell from the Tampa Bay area and a little bit northward, a big swath of 10 to 15-inch total rainfall across Florida that was right along and north of the center. That's where most of the rain fell. And then, of course, we did still have some storm surge flooding on the east side of Florida when the storm got there, but not as much as what we saw on the west coast of Florida.
Tornadoes seem to be a huge problem. Did I hear right? Like 150 tornado warnings?
Yeah, I don't remember the exact number off the top of my head, but it was, I believe, if not close to, it was the most that Florida had seen with any one event. But yeah, typically we do see the tornadoes in those outer bands out ahead and on the eastern side of the storm, but we certainly saw a whole lot more tornado activity yesterday across the state of Florida. In fact, radar at times looked like supercells that we would typically get out in, your part of the country and out across the central U.S. where we get those big supercells that form. You kind of saw some of that, kind of look like that on the radar. So it was typical that we saw the tornadoes, but certainly not the volume that we saw yesterday.
I did hear one report, possibly 10 people in Tampa that have died. Do you have any updated numbers?
I do not have an updated number on that. No, sorry.
The hardest hit communities, I guess we would say Tampa, Siesta Key, Punta Gorda, 3 million without power. That's going to take a minute to get all that back on, huh?
Oh, it certainly is. And like I said, there's different facets of the storm. So you certainly have the storm surge flooding, and now that the sun is up, they're starting to get out on some of the barrier islands just to see what kind of damage is there. But certainly on the coastline where we saw some of that storm surge flooding, there's going to be damage there. Around that Siesta Key area and then southward. But like you said, Tampa area with all the rain, certainly some flooding issues there. We had 100-mile-per-hour wind gusts measured near the Tampa area as well. So I'm sure there's a lot of debris and a lot of storm damage there as well. But then that swath of rain across the state is going to cause some flooding. It'll take time for those water levels to come down.
The damage at Tropicana Field in Tampa, does that appear to be tornado damage or is that hurricane damage? I mean, it shredded that entire roof.
Yeah, I don't know. Officially, I don't know. It'll take time before the survey teams are able to go out and attribute what damage was due to a tornado and what were due to more the hurricane winds.
Are you looking at anything? This has moved off into the Atlantic now. Is there anything that Florida can they kind of take a step now and start recovery efforts, or is there more coming?
No, certainly in the short term, yes. There's nothing that is kind of on the horizon right now. There is a wave coming off the coast of Africa that the National Hurricane Center has noted. But right now they give that a low chance of forming at least over the next week. But certainly that's something we'll watch as it moves across, the Atlantic. But it's that time of year where you get a lot of waves, and what we saw with Milton, you get these waves, and they might seem not as impressive right away, but then all of a sudden, they get into a very favorable environment, and they develop. So we certainly got another almost 2 months left of the hurricane season. So, it still goes through the end of November officially. Things start to wind down once we get into and through November, but certainly we're still under the hurricane season.
Ken Boone with the Weather Channel. Ken, this was projected to hit like as a Cat 5 hurricane. I think it landed as a 3. Is that correct? And then is that where it stayed?
It did. It did make landfall as a Cat 3. It had gotten to a Cat 5. I don't know if they ever forecasted landfall to be a Cat 5. It was always forecast to run into some wind shear that was going to certainly weaken it, but also was also going to broaden it. So it did make landfall as a Cat 3 last night.
Do we have some good news in that a lot of people heeded the warnings and got out? Does it look like the vast majority of folks in the path were able to get out in time?
Yeah, I think so, especially, the reports that I've heard that a lot of people did heed the warning if they were in an evacuation zone there on the coastline. A lot of the reports that I heard, it seemed like people were heeding those warnings in the evacuation zones right along the coast where you're going to see that worst storm surge flooding. Of course, as you get into the inland areas, you get a different type of flooding there due to all the rain and whether it has the ability to drain out. Sometimes you get people that evacuate to the middle part of the state and get into those areas where we get the heavy rain. But, so we'll have to wait to see, what comes of that. Because, with Helene, it was really the flooding that was the biggest issue when it got up into western North Carolina. That caused, the loss of life and a lot of the destruction. It was more the flooding. Now, Central Florida has a little bit more of a system to work with. So especially like in and around the Orlando area, they can regulate some of that in some of their lakes and stuff. But there's certainly going to be some flooding in the central part of Florida that we'll have to wait and see just how bad it got.
Gotcha.
Ken Boone with the Weather Channel. Thank you for the update, and we'll keep in touch.
All right, thank you.
You bet.
Mike and McCarty, 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL. Term limits in Bossier City. We'll talk with Duke Lowry coming up at 7:40.
Back with more of Mike and McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
On 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL, Mike and McCarty. Do you have big weekend plans? What is it? Is this Friday yet?
Not yet. But you are off tomorrow, correct?
Yeah, I'm taking off. I'm heading over to Dallas.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Scott Hughes is going to come in for tomorrow and Monday, and we'll have a little fun. No huge plans. I'm thinking I'm going to go to the Revel. Am I late?
I will say this. Last night I had funds on my Revel band.
Oh no!
No, they let you cash out now.
Oh, even after the event,
right? You go, because if you go on the website and register your Revel band,
okay,
the thing that it's the electronic device that you put money on, and that's where the food booths take the money band, and you load up like $30, and then we go eat, and if you've got 10, or whatever,
wow,
and then at the end of the Revel. Like, last year, how many times did you get stuck with Revel, with tickets?
Yeah.
It's like, well, I'm, screwed on that.
Yeah, or you hand them to somebody walking in as you're walking out.
Right.
And go, Merry Christmas.
But with the Revel band, you can cash it out.
I love that.
Now, I had like $16. Okay.
Oh, okay.
So I thought, it's worth cashing back out, put it back in my...
They took a fee, didn't they?
They took a fee.
Yeah, of course they did. Of course they did.
They took $3.
Ooh.
To give me $16. Now, that's kind of steep.
That is steep.
And what's the fee for? Why? I kind of have an issue with that.
Well, all of those online payment systems, you buy movie tickets, you pay a fee. You do anything you buy concert tickets, you pay a fee. All that stuff, they charge fees now.
So next time, I will not have any left on my...
Yeah, spend every dime.
If I have to go buy 10 funnel cakes, I'll...
Speaking of Revel and food and stuff, if you are a fan, do you remember when St. Joe's used to sell the pizzolettas?
Oh, of course.
It was the hottest selling food item.
And it hasn't been there for years.
It's been gone since 2020, I think, 2019. Well. What? Pizzolettas are back. But it's a fundraiser now for St. Joe's. Which is kind of cool.
Which is what it was at the Revel, right?
Yeah, it was. But now they're selling them by I think you can buy a half, a quarter, or you can buy the whole pizzoletta. And I think the whole pizzoletta is $70, and they're going to give you instructions on how you bake it when you get it home. I think it's pretty cool. I mean, obviously my kids went to that school. That's expensive, but that's cheaper than you're going to pay for it at the Revel, where it would be $10 a slice. So
is it? I guess so.
Yeah, I think you get 8 slices at least out of a big one. But that's so good.
Where do you get it?
St. Joe's. Just look on the Facebook for the St. Joseph Schools page, and they'll show you. I think the deadline to order is the 14th, and then you pick up on the 20th and 21st. So you got to do it in the next week if you want a pizzoletta. And I love all my folks at St. Joe's. So, help them out. I would appreciate it. Our hamburger thing was yesterday, burgers for the badges.
Oh, that's right.
I think they had enough tickets that every officer that showed up got them a burger.
Nice.
Yeah, and so we helped buy a lot of those tickets. And
thank you to everybody. Yeah. Oh, I still got to get you money.
Yeah, you owe me $75.
What? How is that half? What?
Fees.
Oh, fees. Oh, son of a...
When we come back, I know we're breaking early, but... is this a little bit of shysterism by the Bossier City Council? I went and read the agenda.
The whole thing has been shysterism, Aaron, from day one.
They're having a special meeting today. Listen to this. Not at 3, not at 3:30, not at 4. 3:35. 3:35 is the special meeting. I don't understand that.
What would be the point of that?
I don't get it. Somebody can explain it to me, I guess. Maybe there's somebody naps until 3:30 and they need 5 minutes to get there. I don't know. Maybe a train goes through at 3:30.
3:35.
Yeah, 3:35 today. The public needs to show up because they're voting on term limits again, but they've changed it substantially. And now the current council members, all of them, could run again and win again. It doesn't go retroactive. And nobody really is paying attention to it because it just says term limits. Put it on the ballot in December.
Bossier residents, I hope you're paying attention.
I sure hope you are, too.
I hope you're seeing who's doing what on your city council.
Yeah, definitely. Wow. Oh, and free trees today, too. Mall St. Vincent.
That's today.
That's today from 9 to noon, and they do have fig trees. They updated their list.
Oh.
So you got it first come, first serve, 9 to noon.
You shouldn't have said anything.
Oh, you're right. You're right. Oh.
Now you're not going to get a fig tree.
No, I'm not going to get a fig tree. Save me a fig tree, please, Shreveport Green.
Duke Lowry going to join us coming up after the news. Bottom of the hour, Mike and McCarty. 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL, and on that free KEEL app.
Get back to the show with Mike and McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
1017 FM 710 KEEL, Mike and McCarty.
One DoorDash. A friend orders DoorDash from a restaurant to come to her home. She lives in an area where not a lot of them deliver.
Okay.
They deliver, and it's the wrong food. It's like if she ordered chicken fried rice, she got shrimp fried rice.
Okay.
And she doesn't like shrimp.
Right. Maybe a seafood allergy.
She called the restaurant, and they said, that's DoorDash's problem.
The restaurant put it on DoorDash.
Said DoorDash's problem. Like DoorDash is supposed to open your meal and check to make sure it's right. I don't want DoorDash opening my meal.
No.
In a lot
How
of
many
cases,
fries are they going to eat on the way home?
A lot of cases, DoorDash, they staple the bag shut so y'all don't get in my food.
Correct. Yeah. And I've done it a few times. I'm not a regular dasher, but yeah,
you've done it. You've eaten food from them.
Well, it's Uber Eats. I do Uber Eats.
Okay. Well, what happened was she calls DoorDash. DoorDash refunded her money because their reputation is really important to them.
So I wonder if that driver got tagged for that cost.
I hope not.
I hope not.
Who would keep driving? But she's going to go to the restaurant. She's not done with this because the restaurant there's no way you want people digging in your food. I just don't. No. I just don't. I think this is ludicrous.
We gotta find. Yeah.
Craziness.
No, it's a whole process where you walk in, you show them your phone, and they have to scan something, and then they hand you what that order is.
Yeah.
And man.
The majority of the time,
so you have no idea what it is.
No.
And so sure, right.
No.
Yeah.
That's the dumbest thing.
I find that so silly.
I would be calling that restaurant out.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
Speaking of crazy, Bossier term limits back in the news. We're going to talk with Duke Lowry coming up just after the break, and let's fix this, Aaron.
Yeah.
Let's fix it.
Okay.
We'll do that next. 1017 FM 710 KEEL.
More breaking news and trending talk with Mike and McCarty on 1017 FM and 710 KEEL.
Well, the Bossier Council calling a special meeting this afternoon.
3:35.
3:35 term limits. Yeah, they're going to they're going to fix it. At 3:35 is open to the public. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Duke Lowry's on the Jack Spring Electric Newsmaker hotline this morning. Duke, good morning.
Hey, good morning. Have y'all had enough coffee yet?
Not yet.
Not quite. Is this more?
I need a little Irish in my coffee.
Is this more shenanigans, Duke? What's going on?
You better believe it. But hey, we the Term Limits Coalition, we didn't expect anything else. In fact, we knew when they started this charter commission, we knew what the purpose was, and it was to do exactly what they're doing right now. You've got to go back to last year when we did the first petition, and even before that, the first term of the current mayor and the city council, you had Chris Smith and Brian Hammonds propose to have a charter commission meeting and revise the charter, and the other councilmen wouldn't have any part of it. Well, fast forward, once the people petitioned to affect term limits, then all of a sudden those councilmen had the sudden desire to have a charter commission meeting. So in December of 2023, they called for a charter commission and they, in totality, appointed all of its members. Ironically, through the process, they determined that one of the appointees wasn't legal, and nothing negative to Preston Freely, but Preston Freely was determined, ineligible. But yet somehow or another in the original ordinance, they make the determination that only the two words of Preston Freely are illegal, and therefore the rest of the ordinance is all just fine and peachy. And I want to take a moment to point out to everybody, while you guys are giving me time, that, the reason Preston Freely was said to be an illegal appointment is because he was the father-in-law of Councilman Chris Smith.
Yep.
Right.
In no way, shape, form, or fashion have they pointed out that, one, Commissioner Juliana Parks is the wife of the city judge. That's governed by the city of Bossier City, budgetary-wise and so forth. Miss Whitman, she is the wife of the Bossier City Marshal. the city council just last meeting voting on replacing membership there. They didn't find any problem with Lee Jeter, who receives donated property to the Fuller Center, a nonprofit organization. The city donates property to that. Of course, no ethics there. And I will tell you that there's complaints filed on those issues. But fast forward to today and the sleight of hand that you're seeing. So they're having this charter commission meeting, this city council meeting, to affect the changes submitted by this charter commission. And they're saying the city attorney or assistant city attorney, Richard Ray, and I can state on multiple occasions where he has said this, that they are going to have a new charter. And the key words you need to pay attention to here is, and if you look at what they're putting forward in the agenda in the minutes, amended and restated. And I would encourage anyone to go look up, just take ChatGPT and ask the question in legal terms, amended and restated, what does that mean? So they are writing a whole new charter. And if this goes to the people and it passes, what will happen is if the people's petition, let's say, comes out of the court system that they tied it up in the 26 JDC, and they say, oh, it's good, it can go to the people. Well, if this charter amendment passes, then they're going to say, well, that people's petition, that was on the old charter. We have a new charter now, so the people's petition is moot. That was their plan from the get-go.
Wait, this is not just term limits today? This is a whole new charter?
It's a whole new charter. Now, they're trying to tell the public that, oh, this is just amendments. Well, their problem there, as Jeff Sadow in an article I would encourage everybody to read, correctly points out that the current city charter, which this charter commission was formed, only allows 4 amendments. But yet, in their wording and the way they're putting this thing out, and the statements made by Richard Ray, the assistant city attorney, is that this would be a whole new charter.
Now, I also see in this term limits measure they're going to vote on today that it makes it go into effect for anybody who runs for office after January. So it would not be retroactive to existing council members. Did I read that right?
That is absolutely correct. And let me put another little caveat on it. If the first part of their proposition passes, where a new charter is adopted, their term limits proposition number 2 that they're suggesting would basically be null and void, because it would apply to the old charter, not the new charter. You follow me?
Yeah.
So when they're saying that they're going to put term limits, they're offering the public term limits, they're not. That's not correct. And the detail, the devil is in the details.
So they won't even, if they pass the first resolution, will they just discount the second one and not even vote on it then?
Well, you're saying, I'm confused a little bit by your question. Say that again.
If the first one passes to create a whole new charter,
I'm confused by all of it.
The second resolution calling for term limits that are not retroactive wouldn't even be needed anymore. Am I wrong?
Well, the new charter in Proposition 1 doesn't have any term limits whatsoever.
Ah, okay.
The second proposition, even if it passes, it would be an amendment to the old charter. And
so you'd have a whole new charter with no term limits in it.
Correct, Amundo. And they know that. This is a sleight of hand to the public. And you said it just a second ago, confusing. This is, the intent is to confuse the public, and they're already doing a good job of that.
Duke, what can be done to stop and fix this? Obviously, the residents of Bossier want term limits.
I have a high degree of confidence that there will be litigation on this. There are countless mistakes, and in the opinion of a lot of people, that there have been violations of the law. And I think those things are going to have their day in court, and it's going to be tried. So it'll be a waste of more taxpayer dollars, unfortunately. But if that's what it takes to get people in Bossier City good government, that's what's going to happen.
Oh, we'll be watching the meeting today. I need something to do this afternoon.
Yeah.
Thank you, Duke.
Thank y'all so much.
Thank you, Duke Lowry, with the Bossier Term Limits Coalition. Mike and McCarty, 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL.com.
Stories of the day with Mike and McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
Well, see, I love this story because of where it is.
Yeah, you're not a fan.
And I'm not a fan at all of their politics, of what they support. So anytime somebody trashes them,
You're good with it.
I'm like, okay, good, go.
Mike, this is a sign of the times of the workforce we have out there today.
Yes.
Does not give a rip.
They don't care.
Here's somebody that I trust immensely. I'm not going to name names because she didn't know that I was going to say this on the
Right.
air. She pulls into Starbucks, right? Pines and I-20.
Right up here.
Pulls through the drive-through window and ordered a caramel ribbon crunch coffee.
Okay.
Caramel ribbon
Sounds
crunch
delicious.
coffee. Yeah, I'm going to have to go there and try one. To which
Oh,
the guy in the window says, I wouldn't recommend that drink. I wouldn't recommend that drink.
wouldn't recommend that one.
So she said, why? And he said, and I'm quoting, because I hate fixing it.
I hate fixing it.
She said, I'm sorry for interrupting your evening, sir. I don't spend my money with people who can't offer good service. Starbucks, Pines Road, you've turned ghetto with your customer service. I wouldn't recommend that drink because I hate fixing it.
So if she were to go ahead and order it, don't you know?
Oh. He spit in it.
yeah,
He
that-
stirred
I
it
was-
with his thumb. Who knows? I am never ordering something they tell me I don't like fixing that.
I
And
don't-
you order it anyway.
I don't want fixing it. I'm fixing it. Not I don't like to make it. Fixing it.
I promise you, and I'm sorry to the younger crowd, he's under 30.
Oh, I'm sure.
Maybe under 25.
I mean, but
It's-
to even say that to a customer.
What? Yeah.
Could you imagine?
Because I hate fixing it.
I hate fixing it.
I'm not going to do the next break with you, Mike, because I hate working on I don't like talking to these people. I don't feel like talking to anybody next.
I hope she drove off.
Yeah, she did.
Okay,
I'm sure
good.
she did.
Good.
And she's never going back. I mean, you've permanently lost a customer
Right.
forever.
But, and I would say the management needs to know, but
Well, they're going to know now. Someone will tell them now.
we had a waitress at a chain, national chain, and it was a location in Bossier. Our waitress had the worst attitude. I mean, Aaron, I used to do it, so I understand. But this was, so I said, I'd like to speak to the manager. Manager walked over to me and goes, "What's your problem?"
Oh. Now you know the waitress's problem.
Said,
Yeah.
Well, no, you just explained everything.
Yeah, thanks.
You just
We're out.
explained it.
Peace out.
Yeah.
Never to return.
Exactly.
Show a little kindness. If you show me a little kindness, I'm an angel.
If I'm sitting at the table and the waitress just walks by and goes, "Hey
Yeah.
guys, I'll be with you just a minute." You just bought yourself 10 minutes.
Absolutely.
I'm good.
Absolutely. No doubt about it.
Royal Alexander, local Louisiana attorney, going to talk with us about Louisiana tax reform. Coming up just after the news, top of the hour. 101.7 FM, 710KEEL.com. What 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL. Mike and McCarty on the Jack Spring Electric Newsmaker hotline this morning. Royal Alexander joining us. Royal, good morning.
Good morning, guys.
Well, the Governor Landry is going to change the face of taxes in Louisiana. What are some of the biggest changes that we will see as average citizens?
That's true. What we're probably looking at, the major points are what he's following through with is the things he said that he would do during his campaign. I think he wants to move the state toward getting rid of the individual income tax, which would make us more competitive with some of the states that are around us, like Texas and Florida and others. But
he's going to a 3% flat tax now. Is that correct?
That's right.
Why not just go directly to eliminating the the personal income tax?
And I'm sure he thought of that. I'm sure they thought that through, but probably because and maybe before he's finished being governor, it will go to zero. But if you look at it in toto, I think with the 3% flat income tax and then dropping the corporate tax rate from 7.5% to 3.5%, we would also eliminate taxes on prescription drugs, and we would increase the exemption for seniors, 65 and up, people 65 and older, from $6,000 a year to $12,000 a year. Those are some of the major ones. But, of course, in return, we are going to see some sales taxes on things like lobbying. I know nobody will mind if lobbyists have to pay. No, I'm kidding. The sales taxes, or property repair, or landscaping, or dog grooming, or massages, or streaming services. Those are some of the...
I mean, they're even going to tax... This is a pretty extensive list. Delivery, freight, and shipping. You're going to have to pay tax on shipping now.
And the way... And I'm still thinking about how it's all going to kind of wash out and balance. But the governor describes it this way. He says what we're going to be doing is putting sales taxes on people's preferences rather than their needs. And right or wrong, I thought that was an interesting way of putting it. We're going to, in other words, all of those things, Mike, and there's many, whether it's landscaping, massages, dog grooming, those are preferences rather than needs.
Right.
And, that's how he described it.
Now, Texas has always lifted up as an example, as an example of success. Do other states, particularly Texas, are they taxing all of these services?
I don't think in the same way. Texas pretty much exists on property taxes, which is how they're able to go without an individual income tax. But
so they're going to get you.
They do. And I mean, it's interesting. Well, I'll just say this. And the broader view is that we are going to face a budget shortfall in next year of between $500 and $700 million. Something has to be done. Our tax code is riddled with exemptions and tax credits and other things that really haven't been looked at in 50 or 60 years easily. So some of this needs to be looked at. Well, for example, another thing they're going to probably do away with is the movie and tax credits.
That was what I was going to ask you about. How soon?
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, what they're going to have to do is pass this out of the legislature, and then in March, voters are going to get to decide on this thing, because some of this is going to require changes in our state constitution, and in order to do that, our voters statewide are going to have to decide that, and that will be in March.
We're poised right now with movie making coming back in a big way with Curtis Jackson, and are those tax credits part of the reason he picked our area? Is that a concern, do you think?
I can't imagine. I think part of it for him is so many of the downtown buildings are in what's called the historic district. And so I think there's federal tax credits available for that. I would imagine, Millennium Studios and all that stuff, that he took that into account too. Obviously, the city of Shreveport couldn't have made a deal regarding state law, but I'm sure still Curtis Jackson looked at that as probably something that, and again, I'm speculating. I don't know everything that went into their deal, but
the film industry is huge in New Orleans. Is this going to kill that?
It depends on it depends on if they really wipe all of it out, because we have a pretty big tax credit. Ours is larger than many states, and there's still a few bigger than we are. And again, to be the devil's advocate, when you look at the amount of money the state pays out in those tax credits, from what I've heard, it's not as much as we take in from having those movie companies come here and even do all the things they do while they're here. So, and Louisiana is generally a poor state, so is that good policy? I don't know. I love it too. It's fun. It's fun to have all of it. The same thing here, and I like all of that too. I like the stores here. I like when they're spending money, those media companies and shoots and all that. But you do have to look and say, okay, how much has the state paid out in tax credits, and how much do we think we've taken in as a result of those movies being
But are
filmed
there
here?
immeasurable benefits to having all of that here?
You would think. I mean, I would think so too. It's just a balancing like anything else. It's there probably won't be an easy way to do this that he's thinking. I'm sure that any governor would be thinking. I don't know an easy way to do that. It does. If some of these things were, in other words, at some point they're going to temper that 0.45 temporary sales tax. It always makes me laugh. It's been temporary for like 30 years. I mean, you know what I mean? They just renew it each time, so they would make that permanent.
Let me ask you something, because I'm envisioning, some high dollar tech worker who can go work wherever they want to go. They can pick their state. And one thing they want to be sure of is an income tax-free state. That's the first thing they're going to go look for. They're not going to say an income tax state that only charges me 3%. So I don't see that this is going to be a huge boom to bringing people into the state. You follow me? It's a move in the right direction, but it's not the answer.
Right. I certainly don't think it's the final answer, but it is better than a lot of the individual income tax we pay now. I mean, 3%, it's in many ways, I mean, people have been debating flat taxes for a long time in our country. Not as long as I remember in Louisiana itself, but flat taxes in many ways are a simpler form of imposing individual taxation. But people always can debate that. But it's not just that, Aaron. It's a number of these other things too. If we take our corporate tax rate from 7.5% to 3.5%, I mean, we all know money is fungible. I mean, if it's used here for one thing, it's not hard to put it into a pot and move it over here for something else. I mean, money is fungible. So if you say that we're cutting the corporate tax rate from 7.5% to 3.5%, I think that's going to affect everything else in a positive way. I mean, that too would be something a business would look at and say, not only keeping the businesses we have here, but attracting businesses. Right. So I'm and keep in mind, guys, we all know it's like the sausage making. The years I worked in D.C., I always would hear that if the American people only knew about the sausage making that goes on. Well, there'll be lots of amendments and lots of deals or agreements struck before this thing becomes law. This is kind of a starting point, and some, state senators and state reps will go back to their districts, and people will say, "I don't like this."
Yeah, I'm with the dog washing lobby, and I want that one taken off. Yeah, yeah,
I agree.
I got you.
I have a feeling the whole pet, all the pets, going to be left out. Right?
Thank you, Royal Alexander. We appreciate your time.
Okay, bye-bye.
1017 FM 710 KEEL, Mike and McCarty.
Back with more of Mike and McCarty on 1017 FM and 710 KEEL.
Firefighter calendars.
Stop. Want that on my phone?
Men's lifeguards.
So we were talking, Ruben goes, during one of the breaks, Ruben said, why am I getting ads for wolf urine?
Now, I get a lot of weird ads. I will say I get a lot of strange ads. And some of them just don't make any sense. But
now, that doesn't surprise me, Ruben. I'm sorry.
This one really came out of left field.
I'm like, what are you Googling over there?
I didn't know you could buy wolf urine in a bottle.
Okay, so I had to look it up. Wolf urine is a natural coyote repellent.
Stop saying it around my phone.
Wolf pea shaken flakes. Sounds like something you fry chicken in.
Firefighter calendars.
Great for lawns, flower beds, gardens, or garden containers, and deterrent for predator animals that would come in and eat your plants.
Male
plants
muscle builders.
And the reason it keeps cats like out of.
Maybe.
I would think
so.
So how did your phone hear this?
Wolf urine.
So yeah, the reason is my phone heard it, and that's why Aaron is saying, male models and stuff into her phone over and over again. I do another show next door. I run another show on Wednesdays called Hooking Up and Tracking Down. It's a hunting and fishing show.
Okay.
And yesterday they talked for 15 minutes about urine. Because, like, deer urine.
Oh,
and
okay, so during the show, and your phone's sitting there, and they're talking about deer urine and peeing on a tree kind of stuff.
You didn't Google anything during the show. Your phone just picked it up.
No, my phone just heard it.
So now you're getting wolf urine ads.
Firefighter calendars.
Oh, my gosh.
Advertisements for wolf urine. That's
Male
definitely what
lifeguards.
And it was a huge bottle. And now I'm questioning, how do they get it?
How do you get wolf urine?
Yeah. And that's a good question.
And the bottle, the size of that bottle, that's more than one pee from a wolf. That's several different pees.
I don't want to be the guy that has to hold the wolf
or has to collect
no kidding. There's no
true.
way you're collecting it from a live wolf.
Get wolf urine.
Is this wolf urine sourced ethically?
Oh, my gosh. Okay.
God, I have so many questions now.
If I get a wolf urine ad on my phone, Ruben, I'm coming to your house. I am coming to your house, and I'm breaking some stuff.
Okay,
no.
I saw an episode of Better Call Saul. Since we're on this subject,
Yeah.
I wasn't going to bring it up, but I have to now, because how many times have you heard that urine is sterile?
Lots.
That's
Okay.
like Bear Grylls, you know.
Yeah, urine
Yeah.
is sterile. Because in the episode of Better Call Saul, Saul was stuck off in the desert. He was lost in the desert with Mike, and he had his water bottle. Well, he had drank all his water. Now he was filling it back up with urine.
He's going to drink it?
To drink. I looked this up, okay?
Yeah.
WebMD, which I think is pretty reputable.
Yeah.
That's not, Billy Bob's fun facts for,
Right.
the weekend. No. First of all, urine is not sterile. That is a misnomer. It contains bacteria.
So you're getting rid of your bacteria.
And you're getting rid of like all the sodium in your body and things like that. So when you drink that, you're actually making yourself more thirsty. Anyway, I just thought it's not sterile.
Interesting.
Oh,
Well, now I have to pee.
Let's get into news.
Oh, Lord.
And have some more lemonade
Edit
with your
this
breakfast.
whole segment out, please.
Sorry about that. But I did not know that. That was fascinating to me.
Interesting.
So don't drink it. Yeah. We're going to get an update on Hurricane Milton. Meteorologist Ken Boone with the Weather Channel will be talking with us at about 8:40. Mike and McCarty, 101.7 FM, 710keel.com.
If you're a facilities manager at a warehouse and your HVAC system goes down, it can turn up the heat, literally. But don't sweat it, Grainger has you covered. Grainger offers over 1 million industrial-grade products for all your operations, including warehouse HVAC maintenance. And even better, they offer access to experts and fast delivery, so you and your warehouse can both keep your cool. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Back to the show with Mike and McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
.101.7 FM, 710 KEEL. Going to get a Hurricane Milton update here in just a moment.
Yeah.
Right now I'm shopping wolf urine.
Stop it. Don't say that again in front of my phone.
We have gotten some messages on the Shreveport Security Systems message board. There are animal farms that raise fox, coyotes, bobcats, wolves, etc., just to collect urine to sell to trappers and hunters.
But how?
Yeah. Thank you, Ruben.
But how?
This guy says, had enough from Austin says, their pens are designed to collect the urine as it drains into a collection tank.
Huh.
Which is sad because that means they live in a pen.
And they're hooking up their...
No, they just have to pee on the floor. It's probably a graded pen.
Oh, and it drains
and the urine
into
just drains down into a collection tank.
They don't have like a little catheter thing attached to them.
No.
Okay, thank you. I feel
Good.
better now.
Good. Yeah. Well,
Oh, my
That's
goodness.
depressing, though.
yeah.
Can they not get
In
out?
the
They can't
pens,
go out
yeah.
and
Right.
touch any grass at all?
Or maybe they have them just trained to go in the pen when they have to pee. maybe. If you can train a wolf, I don't even know if you can do that.
I don't know. I think we're the only radio show in America today talking about wolf urine.
Well, apparently not.
Maybe not.
If it came up on Ruben's phone because he was producing another show.
If this comes up on my social media and I start seeing those ads, I'm going to be livid.
We'll check in tomorrow for sure.
Yeah.
Well, that's why a guy posted on one of the reels on Instagram or something, and he leaned over his wife's phone and goes, Father's Day.
Yeah.
Ping putter. Callaway golf.
Men in tight jeans.
Shut up. If I start getting that crap, I'm going to be mad.
We're going to have the weirdest advertisements for the next week.
Meteorologist from the Weather Channel, Ken Boone, joining us right after the break. 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL, Mike and McCarty.
Now, breaking news and trending talk with Mike and McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
.101.7 FM, 710 KEEL, Mike and McCarty on the Jack Spring Electric Newsmaker Hotline. Meteorologist with the Weather Channel, Ken Boone, joining us. Ken, good morning. Have you been up all night?
Not all night, but a good part of it.
Good. Well, Milton has made its way across Florida. It looks like it's back out into the Atlantic now. Where was the worst hit areas in Florida?
Yeah, well, the worst storm surge was right where it made landfall near the Siesta Key area, and then areas a little bit down to the south of that where we had that steady onshore flow. The heavy rain fell from the Tampa Bay area and a little bit northward, a big swath of 10 to 15-inch total rainfall across Florida that was right along and north of the center. That's where most of the rain fell. And then, of course, we did still have some storm surge flooding on the east side of Florida when the storm got there, but not as much as what we saw on the west coast of Florida.
Tornadoes seem to be a huge problem. Did I hear right? Like 150 tornado warnings?
Yeah, I don't remember the exact number off the top of my head, but it was, I believe, if not close to, it was the most that Florida had seen with any one event. But yeah, typically we do see the tornadoes in those outer bands out ahead and on the eastern side of the storm, but we certainly saw a whole lot more tornado activity yesterday across the state of Florida. In fact, a radar at times looked like supercells that we would typically get out in, your part of the country and out across the central U.S. where we get those big supercells that form. You kind of saw some of that, kind of look like that on the radar. So it was typical that we saw the tornadoes, but certainly not the volume that we saw yesterday.
I did hear one report, possibly 10 people in Tampa that have died. Do you have any updated numbers?
I do not have an updated number on that. No, sorry.
The hardest hit communities, I guess we would say Tampa, Siesta Key, Punta Gorda, 3 million without power. That's going to take a minute to get all that back on, huh?
Oh, it certainly is. And like I said, there's different facets of the storm. So you certainly have the storm surge flooding, and now that the sun is up, they're starting to get out on some of the barrier islands just to see what kind of damage is there. But certainly on the coastline where we saw some of that storm surge flooding, there's going to be damage there, around that Siesta Key area and then southward. But like you said, Tampa area with all the rain, certainly some flooding issues there. We had 100-mile-per-hour wind gusts measured near the Tampa area as well. So I'm sure there's a lot of debris and a lot of storm damage there as well. But then that swath of rain across the state is going to cause some flooding. It'll take time for those water levels to come down.
The damage at Tropicana Field in Tampa, does that appear to be tornado damage or is that hurricane damage? I mean, it shredded that entire roof.
Yeah, I don't know. Officially, I don't know. It'll take time before the survey teams are able to go out and attribute what damage was due to a tornado and what were due to, more the hurricane winds.
Are you looking at anything? This has moved off into the Atlantic now. Is there anything that Florida can they kind of take a step now and start recovery efforts, or is there more coming?
No, certainly in the short term, yes. There's nothing, that is kind of on the horizon right now. There is a wave coming off the coast of Africa that the National Hurricane Center has noted, but right now they give that a low chance of forming at least over the next week. But certainly that's something we'll watch as it moves across, the Atlantic. But it's that time of year where you get a lot of waves, and like what we saw with, Milton, you get these waves, and they might seem not as impressive right away, but then all of a sudden, they get into a very favorable environment, and they develop. So, we've certainly got another almost 2 months left of the hurricane season. So, it still goes through the end of November officially. Things start to wind down once we get into and through November, but certainly we're still under the hurricane season.
Ken Boone with the Weather Channel. Ken, this was projected to hit as a Cat 5 hurricane. I think it landed as a 3. Is that correct? And then is that where it stayed?
It did. It did make landfall as a Cat 3. It had gotten to a Cat 5. I don't know if they ever forecasted landfall to be a Cat 5. It was always forecast to run into some wind shear that was going to certainly weaken it, but also was also going to broaden it. So it did make landfall as a Cat 3 last night.
Do we have some good news in that a lot of people heeded the warnings and got out? Does it look like the vast majority of folks in the path were able to get out in time?
Yeah, I think so, especially, the reports that I've heard that a lot of people did heed the warning if they were in an evacuation zone there on the coastline. A lot of the reports that I heard, it seemed like people were heeding those warnings in the evacuation zones right along the coast where you're going to see that worst storm surge flooding. Of course, as you get into the inland areas, you get a different type of flooding there due to all the rain and whether it has the ability to drain out. Sometimes you get people that evacuate to the middle part of the state and get into those areas where we get the heavy rain. But, so we'll have to wait to see, what comes of that. Because, with Helene, it was really the flooding that was the biggest issue when it got up into western North Carolina. That caused, the loss of life and a lot of the destruction. It was more the flooding. Now, Central Florida has a little bit more of a system to work with. So especially like in and around the Orlando area, they can regulate some of that in some of their lakes and stuff. But there's certainly going to be some flooding in the central part of Florida that we'll have to wait and see just how bad it got.
Gotcha.
Ken Boone with the Weather. Thank you for the update, and we'll keep in touch.
All right. Thank you.
Back with more of Mike and McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
You said earlier there was a problem with was it DoorDash?
DoorDash, yeah.
That they delivered the wrong food.
Yeah, a friend of mine ordered a DoorDash, and she doesn't live in an area where you can get a lot of restaurants to deliver. So she only has a few choices. So I don't know the restaurant name, and I'm not going to call them out because they need to fix this. Whoever the restaurant is needs to fix it. She's going to follow up. Let's say she orders chicken fried rice.
Okay.
They deliver shrimp fried rice. She opens it up. It's shrimp fried rice. She's allergic to shrimp.
Right. Okay.
Can't eat it. It's not going to be able to eat it. Calls the restaurant and says, hey, I got shrimp fried rice. I ordered chicken fried rice. Can y'all fix this? What do I have to do to get it fixed or get a new delivery sent? Oh, that's not our problem. That's a DoorDash problem.
What? See, that's anybody that says if they're broached with a problem that says and tries to pawn it off to instead of going, let's get this taken care of.
Let me figure out how to fix it. Yep.
I don't know, but I'll get the answer.
I got a new order on the way to you, ma'am.
Just take care of it.
Fix it. Suck it up. Fix the problem.
My very first job when I was like 14, 15, it was a locally owned Texaco station. And that guy said, customer service was it.
Yes.
He even made us turn our belts inside out so we wouldn't scratch the cars when we were checking their oil.
You bet.
Brookshire's. When I worked at Brookshire's back in high school, if a customer came up and said, where's the flour? You didn't say it's on aisle 6. You stopped what you were doing and you took them to it and said, here it is. What else can I do for you?
Wow.
That's the kind of service that was instilled in me as a worker.
And that makes people come back.
And it's not today.
No.
There are very few places. Tubbs Hardware is like that still.
Yeah. Oh, he does everything you need.
You go in there and those employees either know what they're talking about or they find somebody that does.
Well, Ruben, you DoorDash occasionally. And quite honestly, I don't want you in my food. I don't want you to snag a fry.
Right. Yeah, I do. Yeah. No, I do Uber Eats every now and then, just for a little extra cash. And most of the time when you get a bag, it's stapled shut so you can't go rifling through it.
Right.
Like you can't, the driver can't, most of the time, can't even look to see. Like, they don't know what you ordered.
And they don't know what you ordered to begin with.
Right.
But you know what happened in this case? DoorDash gave her money back. DoorDash credited her account.
Well, kudos to them.
And because they want customers to be happy.
Right.
Now she's going to be dealing with the restaurant going, this is not DoorDash's problem. This is your problem, Mr. Restaurant, and you need to fix it.
Right.
She's like, this is because I want to order from this restaurant in the future, perhaps, but only if you can fix this. Only if you can assure me that when these screw-ups happen, or they won't screw up, that you're going to be responsive to my needs. And we had another friend who went through the Starbucks here in Pines and I-20. And
kills me.
She orders a certain drink, and the kid at the window said, I don't think you want to order that.
I don't recommend that drink.
I don't recommend that drink. And she said, why? And he says, I don't like fixing it.
Fixing it?
I don't like fixing it. So you shouldn't order it. She was out.
So if she goes ahead and orders it, which I'm glad she didn't,
no,
she just left.
Mm-hmm.
Don't you know now it's a personal affront to this employee?
Oh, of course.
So he's going to do something to it. Go, here's your damn caramel macchiato.
With a booger in it.
Yeah,
Enjoy.
Or worse. Yeah.
Yeah. Who would ever order that? She said, I'll never go to Starbucks again.
Good.
She said, that is absolutely an affront to me being a customer at your business.
Right.
And she did call corporate. They've offered her a gift card. She said, no, thank you.
Right.
No, thank you. Not interested. We're going to have to bow up and say, you can't treat us like this because it's happening so much.
A buddy texted me. He says, I think DoorDash bills it back to the restaurant.
Good.
Yeah.
There you go.
Exactly.
Which they should.
Well, sure.
Because I don't want no DoorDasher in my food.
It's not their responsibility
to check and see if the order is right. That's ridiculous. I don't get it at all. I really don't.
I just have no patience for somebody that pawns it off to somebody else without accepting responsibility.
Absolutely. Mike's going to be off tomorrow, and Monday, Scott Hughes will be coming in. We got a lot to talk about. The Bossier City Council special meeting today. We're going to follow up on more on that.
101.7 FM, 710 KEEL, Mike and McCarty.
If you're a facilities manager at a warehouse and your HVAC system goes down, it can turn up the heat, literally. But don't sweat it. Grainger has you covered. Grainger offers over 1 million industrial-grade products for all your operations, including warehouse HVAC maintenance. And even better, they offer access to experts and fast delivery, so you and your warehouse can both keep your cool. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.